Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming. Back on the original channel, although who knows for how long. Why am I here and what am I doing? Well, I know that most people, I'm not advertising this link, I'm not sharing it around. So you're only probably going to see this if you have that little alarm bell clicked on my channel. If you do, thank you very much. And I'll be monitoring the chat channel. Welcome. Thank you, Price. You may be my only view. Oh, good God, there's lots of people. They're pouring in now. Pouring in. It's a torrent. So, why am I here? What am I doing? Shouldn't I be working? Well, in a way now, this is my work. Because I've had a lot of people, especially in the last few weeks, asking me where I am, what I'm up to, what's going on with the YouTube channel. And that's lovely. I very much appreciate your concern and your interest. And I mean, right now I'm putting out at least 3 videos a week on the Onyx Path YouTube channel. So if you're not already subscribed to the Onyx Path YouTube channel and you haven't click that little alarm bell, then I suggest doing so, because doing so you'll get to see my face a few times a week. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Hello Yeti Mind Tricks, hello Daniel Lachumi, hello Cubix List, hello Aegis of Dawn, and hello Price. I appreciate all of you tuning in suddenly. But yes, I am putting out regular content on the Onyx Path YouTube channel. Why am I doing that? Well, I have a media role at Onyx Path. I produce their news videos. I will help promote their games. I'll run actual plays. I do all kinds of things. And you are lucky devils. Hello, Nicholas and Milioni. Hello, the Botch Pit. I am very grateful for your continued support. But yes, people have asked me what's going on, where have I been? And as most of you are aware, full-time these days, I write tabletop RPGs, or I develop tabletop RPGs, and that life can actually be all-consuming. It's quite difficult for me to find space for other things like my recreational YouTube channel, that's for sure. But I try as and when I can. The issue is when something takes up that much of your time, as my work does, and I enjoy it, I love it. It means finding the justification to come on to the Gentleman Gamer channel and do a 30-minute video about, I don't know, about the Lamia. I know people still want a video on the bloody Lamia. Maybe one day. I don't, speaking pragmatically, I don't get paid for that. I do get paid to do my writing, my development, and I also, as I say, have the media role on the Onyx Path channel. So that actually led me, after much toing and froing and a lot of support, people said, yeah, it'll be a good idea, we'll throw some coins your way. I set up a Patreon account. You don't have to back. The link is in the description. But if you've ever enjoyed my content, if there are things you particularly want me to make videos about, there is a link in the description below, video description below, for you to support me on Patreon. It means you can actually fund my making videos, giving you one-on-one tuition if you want to get into the RPG industry, that sort of thing. I've set up various tiers so that you can do that kind of thing if that's the kind of thing that interests you. But that doesn't mean we're not going to get casual videos that I am not paid to do. I will just do them as and when I can. In regards to your questions that I'm getting in right now, Price, what game are you working on at the moment? I'm working on a lot of games, Price. I am working on, right now, Solemn Veil. That's a non-Onyx Path game for Dirty Vortex Publishing, a company run by a guy by the name of Mark Kelly. It's a folk horror, British horror role-playing game set in the late 1970s, early 1980s. Got a League of Gentlemen vibe, got a Field in England vibe. It's all very creepy and weird, set in a Cornish village, and that's been a great deal of fun. But I'm also working on various Onyx Path projects too. The books that are currently on my plate to look at today are the Contagion Chronicle, which is the big crossover book for Chronicles of Darkness, allowing you to put vampires, werewolves, mages, and mummies and the like in the same group, and have powers that bounce off of each other. We also have a few Vampire the Masquerade books as well. For V5, we've got Let the Streets Run Red. We have the Chicago Folios. We have Cults of the Blood Gods. I'm developing all of those and writing a bit for all of them too. I am also developing Shunned by the Moon for Werewolf the Forsaken. And good God, what else? Dark Eras 2 for Chronicles of Darkness. I've got a few books on right now. But yeah, today's work will be Contagion Chronicle. Let's see. What other questions do we have? How's family life? Asks Yeti. That's a nice question, Yeti. Family life is lovely. I love being a dad. It's probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Next to, of course, Beckett's Jihad Diary. Hello, the Wise Monkey. I am having a blast. And yes, Slagman, Slagman, the Scarfolk idea is very prevalent in Solemn Vale too. David Hicks has joined my Patreon. Thank you very much, David. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I only set it up yesterday. Obviously don't have a great deal of support, and I don't know how well it's going to do. I may have overpriced my tiers. I may have underpriced them. I may be underselling my time. But if you want to support my ventures and you want to get involved in them too, feel free to back, but you don't have to. That's up to you. No pressure. Ariadne, good morning, Matthew. Good morning, Ariadne. Nicholas has a question about the Contagion Chronicle. What's the 0 Hour Sworn group all about? 0 Hour are a militant sworn group, to put it mildly. Their view is purge the world of Contagion, burn it out down to the root. They are, of all the Sworn, which are the playable factions in the Contagion Chronicle, undoubtedly the most militaristic and violent. They're the likely, to play to stereotypes, you're likely to see your Gangrel in there, you're likely to see maybe some Stormlords. I would imagine you'd probably see some fiery Summer Court Fae joining the 0 Hour group. Any hunter from Hunter the Vigil would feel at home there. And of course, Saboteurs from Demon the Descent all have a lovely place in 0 Hour. Daniel Lachumi says, what do I feel about the rumors of a new Vampire the Masquerade game? I couldn't possibly comment. Doc Ratty says, good morning. Obviously, if there is a video game coming, I am sure it will be fantastic and everyone will enjoy it. David Hicks, the tiers look pretty solid from knowing the industry. You may need to consolidate some if you find people are really spread over options and it creates an issue. That's a good idea, David, and I may well do that. If that happens, I'll get in touch with the relevant backers and I will sort it out. Yeah, so my thoughts on a Vampire the Masquerade video game, if there is indeed one coming, are that it would be silly for it not to capitalize on the popularity of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, wouldn't it? But there's a lot of different ways one could make a Vampire the Masquerade video game, and a lot of different settings, a lot of different formats. It doesn't necessarily have to be the third-person RPG, but then again, it worked out very well for Bloodlines after about 10 patches, so we'll have to see if a video game is on the horizon, won't we? So yeah, what I meant to do with this video in brief was talk about the life of the writer. I'll show you the life of the mind. And if anyone knows what that reference is from, they earn themselves a kiss from me. I promise I have no diseases. The life of the writer. Because people were asking what I was up to, and they were concerned due to my absence. And honestly, when you're writing games all day or doing anything where you work from home all day, it can be quite easy to become a hermit, both on social media as well as in real life. You end up fixed to your desk for all hours. You often work into the night because it's quite difficult to moderate the number of hours you work when you work from home. You've got no one locking up and kicking you out, you know? So there have been challenges since I started doing it. I've enjoyed it a huge amount. It's not my first self-employed job. but I've been finding it a lot easier recently to balance everything that I do with going to the gym every morning. That's a very good way of giving yourself energy. I know it seems counterintuitive, but if you go to the gym at 9 a.m., for one thing, most people have gone to work by that point, so it's pretty much empty. And also, it's a good way to start off the day. I initially intended to go to the gym. I used to go to the gym about 5 or 6 in the morning, but with a young child, that's not really feasible anymore. So 9 a.m. after everyone's gone, after he's off to the nursery or wherever, that tends to work out for me. I tend to get a couple of games in every single week in the evenings or elsewise. I am running a weekly game for Red Moon Role Playing of They Came From Beneath the Sea. There's an actual play, the footage of which is on the Onyx Path YouTube channel, where I upload content about 3 or 4 times a week. So do look at the Onyx Path YouTube channel if you're a big fan of my actual plays. But in terms of, before I carry on, there's lots of other questions. Daniel Achumi, rumor is the new Vampire the Masquerade game is going to be from Paradox. It would make sense if Paradox has involvement. After all, they own the license. Chris Villian, maybe this is a silly question, but what exactly is the Contagion Chronicle? Contagion Chronicle is a book for Chronicles of Darkness being these books here, such as Requiem, Forsaken, Awakening, Lost, and so on. And Chronicles of Darkness doesn't suffer the same metaphysical, cosmological problems of World of Darkness, where werewolves want to tear vampires' throats out just because they're looking at them. In Chronicles of Darkness, these creatures can work together, but finding a reason for them to work together that doesn't completely bend people's brains is the big challenge. The Contagion Chronicle is the crossover book for Chronicles of Darkness. It has rules, it has systems, it has settings, and it has a plot for why these characters might be working together, and that plot is the contagion. It isn't just as a disease that is ravaging the world, it's not a zombie apocalypse. The contagion manifests in many different ways, and there's lots of different reasons for vampires, werewolves, mages, Prometheans, changelings, Geist, the Sin Eaters, and so on to team up. Price, what's my favorite clan and tribe? My favorite clan is Grumble Duke, and my favorite tribe is Lestat. Jerry Campbell, this might be a touchy subject. Are there any LARP versions with the current run of books? It's not a touchy subject, Jerry. I wouldn't know. If you mean V5, I honestly wouldn't know. I don't work for White Wolf anymore. I served them on a brief contract. That contract came to a close. If they're planning on producing a new LARP version, or if By Night Studios are going to continue to produce their version, I really couldn't say. Martin Sneberg, will there be a Vampire TV series or movie and new RPG PC game? I imagine Paradox Interactive would love for all of those to be the case. Daniel Achumi, so in Contagion Chronicle, Black Spiral Dancers and vampires actually work together. That's interesting. No, that would be World of Darkness. This is Chronicles of Darkness. Black Spiral Dancers don't exist in Chronicles, but the Pure and Bale Hounds do. And mix those two together and you get a nice Black Spiral Dancer-esque antagonist. Nicholas Milioni is leaving for college. So, cheerio, Nicholas. Banda 1, is Sabat book for V5 being produced? It hasn't been announced yet, Banda. I imagine someone will, but I couldn't tell you who. Nicholas Milioni, what bane and compulsion would I give V5 version of the Zimitsi clan, or Jimishi clan, or Shu clan? I would have to think about that more than... Yeah, I would have to think about it. There isn't a book, as far as I'm aware, being developed right now where the Jimisi are profiled and made playable. So if I said something, someone would take it as canonical, and it's probably not a good idea. So back to the life of the writer. It can be quite difficult to actually compel yourself to hammer out several thousand words a day. I've never understood how some companies manage to get writers sat in cubicles and expect them all to write so many games within a certain number of weeks. It seems like the death of creativity to me. So there's a lot of what a lot of people would consider prevarication, such as making videos like this, playing video games, watching TV, reading books. But The truth is, if you are a creative, an artist, a writer, you do have to have an awful lot of stimulus to keep you going. And for me, that generally requires well, taking in different mediums of art. And that art doesn't have to be good. Take They Came From Beneath the Sea as an example. The RPG is fantastic, but it did leave me watching an awful lot of very crap B movies to make it. So there's a nice balance you have to find when you're a writer or a developer of a game. You have to mix the production with the inputs. And what's more, when you're developing a game, you have to be quite familiar or very familiar with systems. And that might be systems for a multitude of games. In recent memory, I have written for all the World of Darkness games, or most of them. The 5 that have all had 20th anniversary editions I've contributed to now. I've written for most Chronicles of Darkness games. I've written for story path games like They Came From Beneath the Sea. I've written for Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition, Cold War Cthulhu, Cult Divinity Lost, Modern Age, by Green Ronin Publishing. I'm sure there's more. I mean, you can check out my full credits on MatthewDawkins.com. That's my website, so that's also linked below. But being able to digest all those systems and settings and then be able to turn them around into content people actually want to read and play with can be quite challenging. And that requires time. And most companies are quite comfortable giving you the research time. Most companies will build that into an outline. You can't hire someone to work on something cold, as it were. Let's see, what other questions have we received? From Schmetterling 905th, that's Butterfly, isn't it? Any recommendations for Call of Cthulhu modules that aren't The Haunting? Masks of Nyarlathotep is a classic, of course, so is the Horror on the Orient Express. I'm still quite partial to the opening scenarios of Shadows of Yog-Sothoth. I mean, that's a classic. I think it's one of the first ones. And specifically the Scottish village scenario, the village of Crannock, maybe, is very weird and scary. Daniel Lachumi, I take it you don't like cubicles at all. Can't blame you. I used to work in an office, and I never worked in cubicles. There's a part of me that does enjoy working in solitude. That's why I'm self-employed now. But at the same time, I don't think it's a terribly creative space to work in. That's why I have the books around me. It's very easy for me to just stop working, pull a book, start reading it, get some ideas, or find a different way to approach something. Nicholas, could you tell me if you plan to update the Brothers of Ypres bloodline? That's from Ancient Mysteries, if I recall, or Ancient Bloodlines. I'm looking at my Vampire the Requiem books right now. Yeah, Ancient Bloodlines. It was a companion for Ancient Mysteries for Requiem. They aren't in the Great War chapter. I think they're referenced in the Great War chapter for Dark Eras 2, but the special sub-splat we're introducing in the Great War chapter for Dark Eras 2 is the Faceless, which is a lineage of Prometheans. Brushers, dear gentlemen, do you think the new Paradox app Tender is prelude to something bigger in the Vampire the Masquerade universe? What I would say to that is if you own the V5 books in PDF, Control and F the word Tender and see what you find. Bounder 1, how different is the Pure in Werewolf of Forsaken 1 compared to 2? Well, so far, I will admit, we could do a lot more with the Pure in Werewolf of Forsaken 2nd edition. There's a lot more for us to expand with them. They are one of my favourite antagonists across the entire Chronicles of Darkness because they have culture behind them. It's maybe culture you don't agree with, almost definitely, but it is still a culture. So that still needs to be fully explored in 2nd edition. Their powers have altered slightly in 2nd ed, and you'll find this with Shunned by the Moon, that some of their gifts are different. And I personally prefer the way they're presented in 2nd ed because basically I like everything of Werewolf the Forsaken 2nd ed more than I do 1st ed. Ariadne tells me, yes, you can't be creating all the time or you will stall. Yeah, you'll get writer's block, you'll just stop producing. You can't create in a vacuum. Anarchy Jesus, who would win in a fight? A Great Old One versus Kane. The Great Old One. I think Kane would hubristically think, I'll just lob this rock at Azathoth and we'll see how that ends up. Chris Villian, you've done some voiceover work for an as of yet unannounced Paradox Interactive project. That's very interesting. What did you think about doing voiceover work? Was it fun? That's more a typo. I did some content design work for a Paradox Interactive project. I've not done voiceover work for a Paradox Interactive project. The voiceover work is for a company I can't name, but I love doing voiceover work. I have a range of voices. Some people find my voice irritating, but luckily I can do a range of accents and speeds and pitches and the like, and so if you're interested in that kind of thing, look on the Onyx Path YouTube channel, because I'm doing a read through of a Scarred Lands novel, which is just here. So if you enjoyed my read through of 50 Shades of Grey, you can get a glimpse of what it is to read a serious book with some actual quality to it. I always find voiceover work fun. Caravalos, do you ever feel World Chronicles of Darkness goes a little too far in trying to make antagonists bad or evil, as if to tell people to go after them? Oh, that's a good question. Definitely more the case in World of Darkness than Chronicles of Darkness. Chronicles of Darkness is very many grey-hatted antagonists. World of Darkness has a lot of antagonists that are pure evil, and I think that makes them lose nuance. Not always, but I mean, if you look at the Barley and the way they're presented, at least until V20, they don't really have much depth. I mean, I enjoy using the Barley as antagonists, but that's the thing. They are antagonists. Nicholas asks, Book of the Fallen question. What is the scariest thing in Book of the Fallen? The entire thing. Book of the Fallen for Mage the Ascension is not a book that you will read and walk away from with a smile. And I don't mean that to shock or appall. That's not the point. It handles the Nefandi and the truth of characters like the Nefandi in Mage the Ascension. They're unpleasant. They do unpleasant things. It's a book for mature storytellers who can handle mature content and want to introduce it into their game. I mean, we are taking our time going through that book, and so is White Wolf, because we don't want to release a book that is just vulgar. It has to have, well, to use a Mage the Ascension term, we have to make sure that any book with such mature content is pitched right, contains the right content, and isn't disgusting for the sake of being disgusting. Daniel Lachumi, how much time is actually going into Wealth of Forsaken 2nd Edition? How do you keep your creativity up? Wealth of Forsaken 2nd Edition, well, I'm currently developing Shunned by the Moon for Wealth of Forsaken 2nd Edition. The Wealth of Forsaken 2nd Edition is also in Dark Heroes 2 and Contagion Chronicle. If Shunned by the Moon does very well, we will also, that isn't a problem with the camera speeding up, I just sped up rapidly for some reason. If Shunned by the Moon does very well, we will make more Wealth of Forsaken books. I think that's a likelihood. Werewolf isn't the most popular Chronicles of Darkness game. I'll be honest, it isn't. I mean, I think the big three are usually considered Vampire, Mage, and Changeling for Chronicles of Darkness. So if Wealth of Forsaken's source books do well, that compels us to create more. We know that there's fan investment. Do I think there are Ghost Wolf Firstborns, and will there be more expanded info on the Ghost Wolves in Banda 1? Oh, I'm not going to comment on the Firstborns, because I think that's something that we might be able to introduce in the Tribes book if we get there. Will there be more expanded info on the Ghost Wolves? Yes, they appear in Shunned by the Moon. Nikolai Sokalski, apologies if I butchered your name, Nikolai. Why does it feel like World of Darkness community is more torn and angry compared to other RPG communities, or am I wrong? No, all RPG communities suffer these ways. I mean, the White Wolf and well, obviously suffered. I made many mistakes in the production of V5, the run up to it, and there's many reasons for that, and that helped divide the community. But also, the community was divided as soon as a new edition of a game was announced. These things happen. I'm not saying that was the only issue, but the problem is when you introduce a new edition, you don't just want to continue, you want to make something new, and I completely get on board with White Wolf doing that, and Paradox doing that now. You are going to disenfranchise some of the hardcore fans. That will happen. The good news for them is the old books don't go away. They can still play the game they love. They don't need to play V5. That's fine. But whenever you release a brand new edition of a game, you have a new aesthetic, you have new images, you have costumes, new plots. You're going to get some old hardcore fans, and I mean old in age, who feel like this isn't the vampire I came to love. That's all right. You don't have to play it. Play the game you enjoy. Let's see. Oh, and how do I keep my creativity up was also asked. Well, most of the time it's by playing games, running games, watching videos, and reading books. Getting out of the house. As I said, I go to the gym each morning. You might not be able to tell, but we'll move on from that. But doing things that keep me active, give me continuous creative inputs, but also give me breaks occasionally to sleep or meditate if you prefer, are always useful. 86 King Rat. Hey Matthew, sorry for the unrelated comment, but I've tried commenting on your videos here and Onyx Path both, and my comments don't show up. Is it something that's tweaked on your end? I don't think so, 86 King Rat. Anyone should be allowed to comment. The only reason your comments might not show up is if you post links in your comments, or if you use terms that are commonly used in spam, and I'm not implying you do, but if you do, they might get filtered out just by YouTube. I've noticed that happen before. Martin Snaberg, is there any book for vampires or World of Darkness that is mad to create your own NPCs? I'm sorry, Martin, I'm not sure I understand the question. Chris Villian, ever thought about making audiobooks? Not to seem weird or anything, but I like your voice and think it could be a great fit. Check out the Scarred Lands audiobook project that's currently on the Onyx Path YouTube channel, and then we'll see what you think. I am doing an audiobook right now. David Hicks, playing in a Chronicles game at the moment as a Makara from Beast the Primordial, for anyone who's unaware, being doggedly pursued by a pretty badass hero. Advice for taking him out? I'm thinking I need a little help from my friends. Yes, you do. I would suggest getting in touch with some hunters and letting them think that this hero is a slasher because he probably behaves like one, and then let the humans do the work. LARP Crafter, good morning, good morning. Daniel Lachumi, new editions always divide people, they do indeed. Caravalos, are branches still trying to have you assassinated? Is that why you're indoors today, to get a break from it? Branches? Well, I don't think the... I do live in Novichok Central, but I don't think I'm being assassinated right now. How often do I borrow material from other sources when you storytell or write for a game I'm running? All the time. All the time. I mean, there's no such thing as an original idea. It's just about presenting it in an original way, is one way of looking at it. You know, I come up with some original content, but repurposing existing content, redirecting it, reframing it, and what have you is the rule of thumb for every storyteller, every GM, and every writer. Ooh, what else do we have? Nikolai, thank you for your answer. You nailed the name. We need more of your travel blogs. Travel blogs? Did I do travel blogs? Tell me where I traveled to. I can't remember these things. Eric Crabtree, how wonderful are the Barley? Not as wonderful as the Ministry. Yeti Mind Tricks, have you tried a Warhammer 40k RPG like Deathwatch? I have. I used to own Dark Heresy and I sold it. It was never really for me. I was never a big fan of the 40k universe. Honestly, it just never really grabbed me. I appreciate the game and I appreciate the setting, but it wasn't my setting. Band of One, are you also doing some Hunter the Vigil books? If so, I'd like to see more info on Hunter government conspiracies. I'm not on the Hunter the Vigil core book, but second edition is currently in development, and I'm very excited about that. Lisa Eggleston says, good day, kind sir, and I say good day, kind lady. Vincent Shine, rule 1 for GM, steal like a crow. Exactly. Edwin says, hello, Edwin. He's looking for a book for Vampire or World of Darkness that are used to create NPCs or monsters. Thank you for the translation, Edwin. No, there isn't a build a vampire book, but hopefully Chicago by Night and the Chicago Folios will have a lot of options in there that you will be able to use to create your own. Yeah. Lisa, your husband and you love my show. I appreciate it. Back my patron, send me all your money. in serious, thank you. Vincent Shine, you can't make everything up exactly. You're always combining things. And as Pablo Picasso said, Robert Greene, good artist copy, great artist steal. Vincent Shine was my favorite recent non-World of Darkness RPG. Ooh, good question. My favorite recent one is not that recent, but I'm going to say Broken Rooms. And I may do a video all about Broken Rooms. Caravalos, how did the Setites get in with the Anarchs in V5 anyway? I have a hard time seeing how anybody would trust them. The thing is, vampires don't know what we, the readers, know. And Setites don't go around like Garden of Eden serpents constantly betraying people after they get the goods on them. It wouldn't work. So the Ministry is the spiritual center of the Anarch movement. They believe in throwing off the yoke of antediluvians and elders, other than Set, of course. And that includes the Camarilla now. Also, the Camarilla did screw the Ministry or the Setites over during their talks for joining the Camarilla. Oh, thank you for loving my style and manner, Lisa and husband. Banda, in World for Forsaken 2nd Edition, will there be a version of the old World of Darkness Abominations? No, but there will be Garayo, which are pretty close. Nikolai says, I distinctly remember watching your visit to some medieval Old English town with a beautiful abbey or the like. I remember I did a walk up to Old Sarum, which is very near where I am, and I made a lot of that up. What I was telling you, I was basically trying to turn a real world location to an RPG location. Some of it was historic, some of it was fantastical. Yeah, Night Stalkers is right, Eric Crabtree. If Night Stalkers has a fantastic build your own monster. I hail from the south of England, for those asking. So, to wrap up, this always goes on longer than I anticipate. Do I still host online sessions? Asked Vincent Shine. Haven't seen one of you in a while. Yes, I do. Go on the Onyx Path YouTube channel. There are actual plays that I'm running that are on there. I will also be doing live sessions. And if you want to be in those live sessions, you can now book yourself a place. Get on my Patreon account. Back, and you will be a player in my games. And if you want, I will upload those games to YouTube. If you want the fame that comes with it and infamy that comes with playing one of my games. When will your Discord be up? Very soon. I've actually set it up. I just need to send out links. It was already there. Schmetterling, thank you for your never-ending advice and recommendations. Honestly, it's a curse more than a blessing. I just can't shut up. I can't. I've tried. It just keeps coming. Good Lord. You can, of course, send me blessings and health and happiness instead of money. To be honest, all of that works for me. Blessings might burn my flesh, but the health and happiness is good for me. So, the final thing. Oh, good Lord. So, yeah, will we ever see a video of you going through the creative process for making a game? That was actually the intention of this video, Caravalos. I was going to talk to you about the process of being a writer and writing a game. That was my plan. And yet all of you came at me with your questions. How selfish of you. And I was all too glad to answer them. I'm going to have to do another one of these live streams in a day or two, and we'll have a second attempt at this. Back my Patreon, and I will make that video for you. Vincent Shine says, oh, yes, of course. Cthulhu by Gaslight online. I remember now. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you have a terrible connection to playing online. We can be patient. Okay. So I am going to stop sending me your blessings, Banda One. You know that it burns. It burns my soul. I'm going to sign off now because I have other work that I need to do. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching this completely rambling and meandering video where I completely lost track of the reason I was here. Because it's like being in a conversation in a bar and there's 20 people around you all going, but I enjoy it. I miss coming on this YouTube channel as often as I did. But if you miss me, go on the Onyx Path YouTube channel. I am there a few times every week. And back my patron, and we can play games together. Hey. All right. Thank you very much for watching. I now need to find the cancel broadcast button. Oh, there it is. Stop broadcast. Bye-bye.